So things got worse. Yeah, we lost 6-2 to Southampton. Told you we were going to struggle. Liverpool and Tottenham today, so it's not going to get easier, my friends. Yeah, so welcome back to Newcastle, where things are continuing to be very Newcastle. Frankly, I wouldn't have it any other way. As a Newcastle fan, I know what this feels like. You know what the worst part of this one is? It's actually a very even game on paper. 50-50 possession thereabouts, 20 shots apiece. We just decided to kick 2/3 of ours outside the goal. They kicked roughly 2/3 of theirs within the goal. And yeah, about half of those actually went in. Dubravka ended up with a 7. 2 years ago, we were complaining that goalkeepers were underrated consistently. Dubravka's ended up with a 7. He's let 6 goals in. However, it's not been all doom and gloom. We're no longer in the bottom 3. That's right. 2 wins sees us 16th. Cristiano Ronaldo continues to obliterate the Premier League in this save. And yes, we have climbed our way out of the relegation spots. We've gone ahead of Brighton, of course. And actually, the 2 teams we've beaten are now behind us in the table. Crystal Palace was one of the teams we beat. So at the stage of beating Crystal Palace, we'd beaten the bottom of the table team and the top of the table team in Manchester City. Liverpool have joined Manchester City at the top of the table, though, since then, and we play them now. The other team we beat was Burnley, who we have gone ahead of most recently, in fact. So we do come into this Liverpool match with a little bit of a bounce in our step, having won 2 games, then lost 1 against Manchester United. Ronaldo scored a penalty, Paul Dummett equalised with a worldie of a goal, and then in the second half, Manchester United realised that probably shouldn't be allowed to happen, and then decided to destroy us in the second half. And the other match since we last met was a 2-2 draw with West Ham, which we took the lead in before Antonio decided to bookend the match with a goal at the beginning and at the very end. Don't know how they got to 5 minutes of extra time, but once again, we progress on penalties to set up a Manchester City Carabao Cup quarter-final. I'm not going to bring you that. I will probably bring you, though, next episode, Manchester City and whatever this third round match is, depending on transfers. Still haven't got a budget. I've got a budget. That's stealthed in. Genuinely, that budget was at £0, but I had the option to ask the board for more money, for more transfer budget. They responded with, "We think you've got enough money," when it was at 0. Good news is, Mizakio is still a free agent. I don't really know why I'm negotiating £2,000 a week when I'm Newcastle. Negotiating £2,000 a week as Newcastle in previous games was a thing to do. This time round, probably not quite as necessary. But he's a free agent. He can come in before January. And this is the team that's done things in recent weeks. I've stuck with the asymmetric system. The main change is the fact that Ryan Fraser's playing central midfield. He's half a star roll ability, but performance-wise, quite good. I don't like this. This is an issue with the beta, by the way. It doesn't move the people sometimes. It moves the bar. But Almiron, not good enough for this one, and Kraft doesn't feel like he's good enough for this either. But I don't think there's anyone else available because all the other right-backs are still crocked. It's a problem. And Jamal Lascelles and Kieran Clark aren't quite good enough to step in. It looks like I've called up Munoz to the first team, by the way. Technically, he's actually still in the under-23s, which is why he's tired right now. But he's been on the bench because we ran out of players. But I think Lascelles can make the bench here. Not good enough to play, I would say. And Kraft, whilst on fitness test, has to play because I don't have anyone else. Hayden can do right back, I've just remembered, but not going to let that happen. Although it remains the star of this team, I don't understand it. There's a question mark on Dubravka because he's made some questionable non-saves, I shall say, in recent weeks. Cardalo played once in the Premier League and got an 8. Not enough data to suggest that he's going to be better. Also, this has been vastly simplified. But Richie Ferramon is just been done for condition's sake, and that's it. That's the only change I'm making to the system that's beaten Burnley and Palace, and made a go of it against Man United for part of the game. So £125 million then to spend in January, or in the build-up to January. That could be interesting. I would expect roughly a similar amount for the actual Newcastle in real life to be spent in January. I think we could spend relatively a large amount of money in January, but I don't think it's going to be like absurd. I think it's going to be a few players of like 20-30 million pounds possibly, which will add up to around 120, I imagine, which is realistically what we need. We just need like quality players in every portion of the pitch, except for a striker at this point. But so far, we've gone 22 minutes and we've not conceded against Liverpool. However, they've got a highlight as Naby Keita phases through the player. That's still a thing in the engine, apparently. Mo Salah doesn't get to that ball. Dummett has stopped him. Yep, Paul Dummett. He's the one being asked to stop Mo Salah today. Gomez into Thiago. Back to Gomez. No injury worries for Liverpool at the moment. In game. James Milner to Naby Keita. Mane on this left-hand side. Liverpool are playing this around quite nicely. It's gone a minute in game since this highlight began. And there goes Mo Salah. There goes Mo Salah. Dubravka didn't move, says the text at the bottom. Yeah, it wouldn't have made a difference if he had, frankly, in that case. But I have questions about this player. That is Dummett. Why? Why has Dummett come towards this player instead of tracking the person he's meant to be tracking? Why has he done that? He's also already been booked in this game. Obviously, the player I just pointed out was Trent. I've told the fullbacks to mark the respective players on either side. That way I'm hoping that they're not going to get pulled out to deal with the fullbacks instead, like we just saw. Is Robbo playing left back? Hang on. Did Liverpool not have Robertson at left back there? Yeah, it's Milner at left back. I did wonder why he kept being in that portion of the pitch. Milner's playing inverted wing back on this left-hand side. Robertson has taken an injury then, clearly. As a Simicast, maybe? Have they lost both left backs? Because the transfer window is disabled, so it's not like they've sold one or loaned anyone. They must have injuries to both left backs. Good chance there. Corner, it doesn't look like it's going to amount to anything. Milner's gone to the right-hand side of this pitch. Will be closed down by Matt Ritchie. He's on a yellow, but good tackle. With Matt Ritchie out there, I'm effectively just counting down the minutes until I can bring Almiron on. Losing to Liverpool isn't the worst thing in the world. I now realise, by the way, that you've not actually seen me win a game so far. But we have a chance next game because we've got to highlight this when we're looking at the table. No doubt that you guys spotted it. Tottenham are 19th. Sam Maximan now charging on this right-hand side. We've got to 60 minutes, actually. 15 minutes of this half has just vanished. Callum Wilson doesn't get to the ball. Van Dijk gets in the way first, and I think it's a highlight. I think it's a block highlight. It's a block highlight. You don't see him very often. Right, so they tell me to bring Lascelles on for Kraft, which is what I'm going to do, but I'm also going to shove Fabian Schär out wide. I don't know why Fabian Schär doesn't have right-back capabilities, because he has played there in the past. Paul Dummett is booked, and on a 6.3, it's his worst performance so far, so Jamal Lewis can come on. Might make all three changes, because his player's not playing particularly well. Almiron's going to come on. We'll freshen up the fullbacks technically, and Almiron's going to come on. Three players who are booked. We're 1-0 down. I actually think Encourage might actually get the boys to respond. It does. It's got to be said, 47% possession. Liverpool have had 11 shots, but only 3 on target. We have limited them quite nicely. As Southampton are destroying Burnley now, so 6-2 doesn't look that bad. 3 minutes of injury time. I'm not really seeing anything. I might just nip onto positive for like the last 4 minutes. Oh, Robbo is fine. He just didn't start. Oh, never mind. That's got nothing to do with going positive. They scored from a set piece. Fernandes has failed to jump, apparently. Just like one of the goals that we conceded at the weekend for Newcastle. A bit of what our defenders were doing against Benteke. They just didn't jump. This is an interesting result because on paper, XG is not that dissimilar between the two teams. 2-0 is actually incredibly harsh as a scoreline. I'm pleased with the performance. And Almiron came on and got a 7.1. Why do I... Okay, so one thing I've learned so far is don't listen to your assistant manager because this happens. I don't even know what to do to turn that around. We were the underdogs out there and you gave it your best. It was a good effort. Because I don't have enough substitutes to make more than 3, you fool. I'll never understand those questions about why you didn't take players off. I only get 3 substitutes. Spurs up to 18th. There's a relegation dogfight game now. Actually got 6 yellow cards in the end. I'm not going to do any scouting or transfer stuff in this meantime, but I will get some transfers lined up for January 1st. Ryan Fraser was the most advanced player. Despite the fact that Callum Wilson is on advanced. Despite the fact that Callum Wilson's on advanced forward, Ryan Fraser was the furthest player up that pitch. I mean, no wonder we lost. What can I do to get my striker to stay up front? Poacher? That confused me as a sentence. I was like, who's giving questions? Right, no, Shea Kevin, of course. Spurs versus Newcastle is the late game. Brighton have already played and already lost 4-0, so they've gone behind us in the table on goal difference alone. So a loss here, we'll see us go into the bottom 3 because Tottenham will obviously go ahead of us. But a draw will keep us both ahead of Brighton, actually. 3 changes from the last match. Lascelles will come back into the central defence, even though he's not fine. Actually, I do need to check right back real quick because a Kraft isn't at 100%. But neither of the other right backs are back. So that's good news. Kieran Clark is also still returning to fitness. I think we're going to have to do that. I don't like playing Hayden at right back, but we're going to have to do it. Dubravka's in goal. Dummett, Lascelles, Schär, Hayden at right back. Hendrick comes in the ball-reading midfielder role, which he can do. Willock replaces Longstaff, who's been incredibly average. Fraser remains. Almiron comes back in the left-hand side, and Wilson and Sam Maximan still up front. They're playing Bergwijn, who might have been on my radar. No, they're not playing Bergwijn. I don't know why don't know why we had instructions for him. That's the way Spurs line up with 3 at the back. Dier, Sanchez and Tanganga all involved. Skip in the midfield. I presume he's received a buff in this year's game. But the fact they're playing no Harry Kane. I just clocked the fact there's no Harry Kane. It's Son and Ali up front for some reason. I don't know why I said Ali like that. But yeah, Son and Ali up front. Hayden's already been bugged within the first 10 minutes. Great job there, Isaac. At least they've got that bit accurate in this year's game. Fraser moving into a little bit of space, being marked out. Wilson holds the offer. Oh, my love, that's lovely. What a great move that was from Newcastle there. I've not seen that. In case you're wondering why I have a player here on corners, even though I don't do short corners, it's because this happens. This player comes out, and then sometimes this player can get a run in here off this defender and find the space. As has almost happened there. Tanganga got to it first, but that effectively was exactly what just happened there. What I just said. Lascelles lost his marker and then just ran into someone else instead. But if he'd got on the end of that, that could have been a goal. And here we go again. Play's already been marked, and Lascelles does get to it this time. Saved by Lloris. That's the reason for the short corner man, even if I don't use him. Yeah, so that having the short corner man does confuse the opponents at times. Ndombele's put Son through, and he's well in. Good God, he's hoofed it over the defence, and that's it. It might be a problem. It might be a problem in the match already, because this happens way too much already. Dummett's headed it clear. Deli's just headed it down, and Ndombele's just hoofed it across to Son. Yeah, Son's not slow, but the fact he ended up with like 4 or 5 yards there. If this was the only time that had happened in this year's engine so far, I wouldn't have questioned it. Or, you know, if it had only happened against the big teams or the odd occasion now and then. But it happens every game. And it's nothing to do with the lines. I'm on standard defensive line. Nothing to do with the defenders. My defenders aren't horrifically slow. They should be able to keep relative pace with them. So either the engine has given more distinction between pace levels, or it's an issue. And there he goes again. I think it's partially reaction times from the defenders as well. Like, the defenders don't react to the ball going over the top until it's already past them. Not the end of the highlight. Dubravka's hoofed it forward. Sanchez is going to get under it, though, because he's decided to hoof it forward. Despite the fact the instructions are give it to the fullbacks, because they're the only ones in space when you get to it. Son's offside. Okay, Son's not offside, apparently. I don't think I can actually get the exact frame where he gets the ball. Well, he's been released then. It might be one of the fullbacks playing him on, because obviously the ball's already been released at this point, and he's still looking marginally offside. Must be the fullbacks. But there's nothing I can do about it. It happens every game. I'm already on standard defensive line. I don't want to drop it any lower. Like Son 16, 15. Not the paciest person. Not the slowest, but also not the paciest. I mean, sure, my defender's 11 and 13 on Lascelles. I think that's harsh on Lascelles, to be fair, in terms of pace. He's not fast, and then shares 10 and 13 on pace. Maybe they've made more distinction on that front. Almiron with a actually free kick. It's not a corner. Hendricks put it in. Sure. Okay, then. 2-1. We're back in it. Dominic on a 6.1. Best player of the season so far. Dominic's on the 6.1. But Hendricks gets on the end of that and is in the goal. Apparently Lascelles might have done something to his wrist ligaments. There's no injury notice on the actual bar at the bottom here, which you do get. Dummett to Wilson. Wilson. Back to Dummett. Willett gets the ball. Oh, I so thought that was going in. I just thought that was sailing in. I think Dummett's been credited with a mistake for one of those goals. Suffered pulled wrist ligaments. I've not got a notification of an injury on here, so I'm just going to play on. Because Fernandez has been putting in like a 6.4. Do have Lewis who can come on at left back. Matt Ritchie's available for left back as well, of course. The one place where I am stocked in players is left back. Almiron to whip the ball in. Didn't see who got to that, but did have an issue recently with corners because Dummett was taking them, and it's the fullbacks who stay back. Normally for me. I don't have one player back at times. Thankfully, I wasn't punished by it. Just a note for you guys. Check your corner takers. Make sure it's not somebody you want to be keeping back. Fraser's put the ball in. Nobody gets on the end of it, and Dummett is fortunate to get that ball from Dele Alli there, because Dele Alli could have turned and countered. So Maximan goes to the byline. Puts the ball in. Fraser's in space. It's 2-2. And Fraser is loving being a Mazzala. He's scored 3 goals from that position so far. I've got the best out of Ryan Fraser here. It's the one shining light in this team so far this half of the season, is finding Ryan Fraser's best position. And it's a position he doesn't naturally have. But Paul Dummett is going to have to come off. I can't allow a 6.1. And similarly, Hayden's tired and booked. So Kraft, whilst not 100%, can come on at right back. Can I see average positions? Is that still a thing? I do think we're possibly being a bit too narrow. Because they've got 5 at the back, let's not forget. Almiron wants to come off, then Richie will go out there. Saying Joe Linton as a choice, but no. Richie as a left-footed player, playing a winger role, will go out there. Free kick from Harry Winks. It's gone all the way back to Son at the back post. It's going to get flagged in one way, shape or form, but is it going to count or not? Is the question. It's been given the goal. Is it going to be disallowed? It's going to be disallowed. Right. I'm starting to notice a little bit of a trend is if it's given the goal originally, then it's usually disallowed. If it's not given, but it remains up there, then it's going to be allowed. And a 2-2 draw of Spurs will do me just fine. You've still not seen me win. That midfield 3, Willock, Fraser, Hendrick, all on 7s or above. Might be the middle 3 going forward because Longstaff in that role on left-hand side has been putting in 6.4 every damn game. Wilson's still a question mark as well because he's not been performing the way he should have been. But from 2-0 up to 2-2, and as I said, the draw keeps ahead of Spurs and Brighton. So next time round, it will be Manchester City and any January transfers I've got pre-arranged for January. So it might end up being a one-game episode because I might have a whole host of people ready and waiting to join Newcastle on January the 1st. And now I've got £125 million to do with it. I know you normally get 200 if you allow the first transfer window, but 125, I think 125 would be more than enough to get a whole bunch of players in. And it's just that little bit more accurate to real life, in my opinion. So I'm glad I've done it this way. I don't have regrets, despite the fact how frustrating it can be watching this team play as is. But like, comment, subscribe. I am recording in advance, by the way. It's worth noting I am recording in advance because my schedule is very fluctuating at the moment. Please leave ideas to sign, but just bear in mind that I may be a couple of episodes ahead by the time I read those comments. Thank you for watching. Until next time, ta-ra.